All right, Rippers, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. So we're going to get a part 2 here. Let's see here. On the installation of the night sights, right? We're fixing out our non-night sights with night sights, right? So where we left off, where I think it cut off at is we were driving this thing home to its last positions here with, and you just like this, like that, right? With the hammer. Now, once you've gotten it driven into position like that, you can look at it and see if it's kind of centered up. We'll take the tape off. Remember I said I put some blue tape on there. And we'll take the tape off and we'll take a look at it here just to make sure we're centered up. Now, the way I check to see if we're centered up, you can see here, you got it pretty well centered up. Got the front side on. Got our let's see, we've got our little, that's right, we've got our little thing there. Let me just get this little guy right here. Found this little tool. I love this little thing. It's just got little tiny socket and star wrenches on it. Fits just perfectly in there. Let's just see, got to find the right one though. I think it's that one right there for this Allen head. Yep, sure enough. Okay. So what we're going to do is, now these screws already had Loctite on them, but if they didn't, like they come pre-Loctited, but if they didn't, go ahead and put a little dab of Loctite on there yourself. That's the blue Loctite, never the red. Those are meant for permanent situations. You're looking for something that you can remove by putting a little heat to it to release that Loctite and then take it off without snapping the bolt or stripping the thread. So how I check to make sure that I am centered is I will take a punch like this one, and I will, like this one here, a nice shiny punch, and I will make a little mark like this. Where's my, there it is. I got a fine Sharpie like this, and I'll put it on this side here, and I'll find a reference point. I'm up against the sight. I've got a reference point right here, and I'm gonna mark it just like that. Okay, now I got a little mark there. You see that little mark right there I got on that? Now what I can do, so that I can make sure I'm centered, like we're hoping that at the factory they have this hole they drilled for this centered, right? That's what we're hoping for. And most of the time they do, to be quite honest. So that being said, what we're doing back here is we're checking against that margin right there. There's a little, if you see right there, there's a little sharp corner that I used as my margin, and I'll take and I'll set this on there like that, and you'll see that it's just touching the outside of that margin. And then on this side, it's just touching the outside of that margin. You see that? We'll get this like this for you. Just seeing they're touching the outside, how that nice and lines up. Now that's a good, easy way when you can check both sides like that to make sure it's even, that you're the same distance in from each side, right? And it's easier than going and getting your calipers and doing that, but you could use calipers. I'm just showing you a nice, easy, fast way to do it. Works just fine. And then what you want to do is you want to tighten down. You want to tighten down, but not over tight. See how I'm just using my fingers? And I'm just like that. Just tighten it down to where it's snug. And that's it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to reef down on it, because as we know, this dovetail fit nice and tight. See? So just the dovetail itself is going to hold it. The screw is to make sure that it doesn't come out or loosen up over use, heat, and all that kind of stuff. Now, so from what we want to do from here, as you can see, we've got our plate on here now. And you know, that's one thing I will say when we're talking about the PSA, if you're gonna use screws here and use small ones, make sure that your countersinks for your plate are deep enough to where this is flush. That's just kind of a nitpicky thing. It's not a big deal. Most people won't care. But to me, I think things should be flush and nice, just like you did there, right, PSA? So you should have screws with either smaller heads or countersink your holes a little bit deeper. Anyway, So got that all set up and all done. So now what we're gonna do is you'll see that there's a little bit of shininess right here. And that's okay, because when you slipped off or when we drove off the other dovetail, it's in there tight. So it's gonna scuff that finish just a little bit inside the dovetail on whichever direction you went. So that being said, what you wanna do is you wanna have yourself just a little touch-up pen like this. They make these universal touch-up pens, which of course I just shook it and it says don't shake, duh. They also make these ones here for flat black and for glossy black. Now this isn't a glossy finish. It's not really quite a flat finish, like a dead flat, but that's probably what you'd use on there if you had to choose between those two. But I'm gonna use the universal pen, which is probably just a Sharpie with a little different ink in it, right? And we're gonna see how that looks. So if you could see on there, that shiny spot, right? That's what we're trying to get rid of. So we'll just go and make a few strokes on here like this. Look at that. And we'll let that dry. And when that dries up, it should dry up pretty flat, but you can see it got rid of that little mark. So now we're looking nice and new again, right? Looking good. Now we just put her back together. So we put our barrel in first, just like this, go in through like that, and then push it back till it latches down, right? Take our spring and the small end of the spring, there's a big end and a small end. The small end goes forward, and then you just push forward and down just a little bit, and it'll go into place. Then you want to take your thread protector there on and get it on. And then of course we have an empty magazine, but we're not even going to put that in. We've got our empty gun here. There was an empty barrel when we went in, so this gun is nice and safe, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to still point it away from us and then reassemble. So that's just a matter of sliding back like this and racking it. Oops, I'm shaking the table. All right, rack it a few times, that way you know there's nothing in it. Look again, never hurts to be safe. And there you have it. We've got night sights on there. Now these are suppressor height night sights. You can get these from standard height, which are probably about, oh, I'd say about that tall. Then you've got 3/4 witness, which are about that tall. And then you got full suppressor height sights like this, which allow you to also co-witness, and so do the 1/3 co-witnesses through most dots. So there you have it. That was the installation or the finish. Sorry it had to be 2 parts. I'll try to avoid that in the future. So far we've got our wounded or weak racker, we'll call it, on here. We've got our night sights on here now, and the next thing to go is the dot optic, right? Something new for not only me on this kind of firearm at least, but for you and maybe others, right? So until next time, stay safe, stay secure, always be aware of your surroundings, and be getting ready and prepared for anything that may come your way. And if you've got it, wear it. And if you're wearing it, get out there and practice with it, right? Not only for your safety, but for the safety of others. And, well, you know, I hope you've been enjoying this. And if you have, please like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, leave a comment afterwards with your opinions or thoughts on it, or any ideas you'd like to see in the future, etc. Any questions you may have, and be sharing it on all your social media platforms to help us grow, to get the information and the knowledge out there, the correct knowledge, right? The knowledge that this is something that's a hobby, a sport, something that is not the boogeyman. Till next time, adios.